All right, YouTube. So we're going to jump right back in to our project that we started before. So we've gotten started with Gemini. I'm going to link that up in the top if you still need to get started, kind of setting up your API credentials and things like that. Go back to that video and watch. We're going to jump in, and we're actually going to have a chat with the Gemini API through the Gemini Generative AI through the API. So it should be pretty interesting. So let's dive in and take a look at it. So jumping in back in the Hex, you can see where we were before. So just kind of jumping in down here, going through their documentation. So you can see that we want to basically declare a model and then start our chat here. So let's do that. Oops. Let me copy and paste. There we go. Almost pasted a keyboard URL in there. Hex would have been like, what is happening? But so you can see we have a generative AI, generative models chat session. So we're good to go there. So you can see that what it wants us to do is just send a message there. And it's going to markdown response.text. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. We're not going to have the same conversation that they had because I don't care about this. Explain how a computer works for a young child. So I'm about to go off to a gaming conference, DreamHack, and watch a StarCraft esports tournament. So I'm going to go a little bit gaming here. So I'm going to say, in your opinion, who is the best StarCraft 2 professional gamer? Okay. I have not sent this prompt before, so who knows what's going to say. Let's go ahead and send it off and see what happens here. Loading, sending it off to their API. Here we go. Okay, so this is the best StarCraft 2 professional gamer is a matter of opinion, based on tournament results, achievements, and overall impact of the game. So they got Flash, who it's debatable. He's a StarCraft 1 player, but that's fine. We have Innovation, pretty good. SOS, Serral, and Polt is hot. That's not. That wouldn't even be in most people's top 20 list. Okay, so at least they got StarCraft players, right? So we're in the right realm. All right. So let's go ahead and let's back off here. So let's ask another question. So you can follow up the chat here. So you can see you can do a chat.history. It's going to do that. So let's show what that looks like real quick. So do a chat.history. This just kind of tells us where we're at in the chat. So there's my question. There's theirs. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's send another question to it. So basically do the same thing here. I don't want to stream the response. I think that looks terrible there. Excuse me. Obviously, there's some business use cases for streaming that content, but not what we're doing here. All right. So let's follow up on that question. And let's be very specific. And let's say, let's see, what can we ask? Let's say, who is the best player per race in StarCraft? Okay. In StarCraft 2. Okay. So if you don't know about StarCraft 2, there's 3 races. There's Protoss, Zerg, and Terran. So players basically choose one of those races, and that's generally who they play forever. There are exceptions to that rule, but that's generally how it works. So essentially, this should give us like one person per list. So let's see what happens there. Let's go ahead and do our two markdown response.text. Let's see what this looks like now. This one might trip it up. I guess not. Okay. Whoa, it has. Okay. So Terran has Serral, Protoss Innovation, and Zerg Rogue. 1 out of 3. Not bad. So Serral is a Zerg player. I don't think I've ever watched him play Terran. I could be wrong, but he's definitely a Zerg player. And Innovation is most definitely a Terran player, not a Protoss player. So let's see what happens if I tell that its response is wrong. Let's see what goes on. Let's see how it responds to that. So response. Here we go. So I'm going to say, are you sure about your last message? Innovation is a Terran player. Okay. So send it off and see what it says to that. I just told the AI that it's wrong. You're correct. I apologize for my mistake. Okay, so now we got SOS as Protoss. Okay, Serral is Terran. Now we have a second Protoss. Interesting. Okay, that's fine. All right. So still a little bit more. Oh, I guess it tells me a Protoss player, then list them again. Okay, that's fine. We can live with that. All right. So Serral is still not a Terran player, but we won't worry about that right now. Okay. So just keep moving on here. So let's say, let's see. So continuing on the same play. So if So if you had to choose 2 casters to cover a StarCraft 2 event, who would you choose? Okay, so there's 2 that most people would argue the 2 best casters in the space are 2 guys named Artosis and Tasteless. Pretty large margin. Those 2 are kind of the premier casters of the space. So let's see if Gemini can answer that for us. So let's send that off. I'm gonna get. I have very low expectations for this one, but okay, all right, pretty good. So Artosis, so that's great. Rotterdam is pretty. I mean, it's a pretty good follow. I mean, obviously Tasteless is Artosis' general partner, but Rotterdam would be a good follow up there. And you can see we have some other casters. Day 9, he's not in the space anymore. In control, unfortunately. Well, they have 2 in controls, but this is the real in control here. Unfortunately, passed away a few years ago. So, and then I'm not sure who these 2 people down here are, but we got the top 2 is pretty good. Okay, pretty good. All right, so let's ask one more question here. Let's see. So, let's see. If I had to choose a city to host a StarCraft event, where would you host it? Okay, so there's a few good answers here. Obviously, the one I'm going to is going to be in Atlanta, which generally wouldn't be a great choice, but has been a good choice for the past 2 years. But, generally, you probably want to put it in Seoul, South Korea. That's kind of the mecca of esports, especially in the StarCraft realm. But, there's a few places in Europe that make sense. Obviously, there's big places in the United States, like LA or New York, that might be good spots as well. Let's see what Gemini says here. Pretty interested to see what happens. I'm kind of, yeah. Seoul, South Korea. Seoul is okay. It's the birthplace of StarCraft. Okay, and then has Taiwan, has Shanghai. So pretty good responses, if I'm being honest. So that's pretty good. Pretty good options there. So, I'm pretty surprised. I mean, it looks like Gemini has some like relatively up to date knowledge here. But yeah, so in this video, we just kind of dive through how you can have a chat back and forth with Gemini using the API. So hopefully this helps you out to start doing your own chatting with the API. So I'll see you on the next video.